Matthew chapter 22 verses 1 to 14. It's Jesus' parable of the marriage feast. Now it's Tuesday of the week of the crucifixion, and Jesus is debating with the chief priests and the elders in the court of the temple. Now the temple is his, and yet he's not allowed to fulfill his priestly office because the unbelieving Jews stand in his way and they are temporarily in charge of the mount, and they've rejected him as Messiah. Now, ironically, this foreshadows the situation today. The Jews are now not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount because the Muslims stand in their way and they have temporary jurisdiction over it. You see, we reap what we sow. Jesus tells them a series of parables, and the one I'm looking at here is of a king, which is God, of course, who invites his guests to his son's marriage feast, but they refuse to come. Verses 1 to 3. The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. In those days, in Jerusalem, the practice was to invite people, ascertain the type of response, and then go ahead and prepare for the banquet if there was sufficient response. These preliminaries had obviously taken place. The guests had signalled their acceptance of the invite, but when the day arrived, they changed their minds. Now, we shouldn't fail to appreciate the mere fact that God is generous and loving. He has had this idea of throwing a great banquet for his subjects, his friends. Isn't that wonderful? He doesn't have to do that, but he's had this brilliant idea. Now, we don't know how these things are played out in heaven, but presuming it's similar to down here, God had an idea, and it was something that really warmed his great heart. He would have heaven prepared with the greatest displays of flowers and streamers and fragrances, and probably water features. The sweetest melodies were probably prepared for the occasion. Does God get excited? It sounds irreverent to say so, but whatever it is that he feels, we can be sure that it is excitement times 1,000. God was looking forward to this day, the marriage of his son, his only begotten son. And he received the message, the guests were not coming. We'll carry on looking at this story tomorrow, God willing. Meanwhile, thank God for his great warm heart.